Yes, I was saying we went through all of this. As you rightly said, everybody has stress, right? So it is something that only happens to working professionals who are also happen to be mothers. Nobody is immune to stress, as we know. But there is a surest way. We have established that it's not just about overcoming stress, going through stress, managing stress. We're going to learn how we can actually evolve through stress. I said two things. It's about the right knowledge and putting into action. Just knowledge, intellectual knowledge is not going to be enough, and we need to put it into action. So, the surest way to evolve, not manage, evolve through stress is to turn that knowledge we're going to gain today and then into action. And we have a choice. Sometimes it is not going to be possible to evolve under each and every stressful situation, Then we say we are going to survive through this. We're going to manage. And at times, yes, I'm going to evolve through this. And there is no right or wrong in this. That is the beauty of it. We do both. And we don't know what is what. When are we just managing stress? When we have evolved through stress. Like, for example, you will never see the situation that you went through the past 2 years, how much you have evolved. You're still managing because that is how you would look at it. That's why it won't be empowering for oneself. But when somebody like me, when I see that, or not just me, even somebody else, without knowing this, the way you're managing everything, it is just amazing. They say these words. That is what it means by evolving through stress, not just managing. And if we can do that, taking that as an example, there cannot be anything more stressful than that. And at times it's even traumatic experience, right? Highest level of stress. And how we have evolved through stress, not and just time won't help. Time is not just a healer. Only when we do the right things during that time will time heals. Because we have also heard this, time heals, everything is going to be time. Okay. No, only when we do the right things during that time is what is going to be healing, and what that is what helps us to evolve. So, you will see the slide once in a while. This is for interaction. I think we have just done it. If you have any questions, yes, quickly. Otherwise, I'll keep going. Alright. So, what does stress look like, right? Rather than explaining it in words, I've just given a few pictures that you COVID. A tremendous increase in such a way that we're even trying to come up with mental health awareness through, as you're talking about, not just through this, but in a creative manner. I just, before coming here, I had meetings with a choreographer in US, a dance choreographer, to bring this awareness through dance drama and then put it in, then it will reach out to more people. We need this and we need that also, so there is statistical evidence to show that lot of mental health issues and especially depression and anxiety has gone up.
Because like life used to be really tough olden days. Like my mother or grandmother, they had really tough compared to what we are. Is it the food habit or the chemicals used also as a factor for this depression anxiety?
One of the factors, not just that. We cannot see depression and anxiety such that there is no one that you can pinpoint only because of that. Only way you can pinpoint is if it is kind of genetic. But otherwise, it's not one factor, it's multiple factors. That's what makes it both harder and easier too. If it is one factor that you cannot change, what is it you can do? There are many factors. That is why I always say knowledge. Knowledge is medicine. Knowledge about ourselves. Knowledge about the external conditions, how to handle them. All of this is what is going to happen.
So society has evolved,
Yeah.
and our practices and everything has evolved. Be it food, environment, everything, and all of those things have conditions that transfer into us that manifest in stress.
We were just saying before,
No,
this is
but
about community.
see, with your grandparents' generation, their focus is to bring up the family. Is life so simple now? No, look at her. 30 years back, went to Botswana to be able to bring back more resources for the betterment of herself and the family, right? So things have changed, and we cannot always compare. It's not just one thing, it's not just the food. So if it is the food, we think we can run that kind of life here. Only at an individual level you can, not at the level of family. We cannot enforce too much on the family too, and rightly so. And it's not the only thing. In spite of all of this, it is possible. But each one of us has to figure out which is the main thing. There might be one primary thing and many secondary and tertiary things we need to figure out. Then coming back, that is a different thing. We will take up depression because that is so important. It will. We have done for 15 days. We will. I was just waiting for Sharda to come. I will kind of see what I should answer right away and what I cannot. I answered that because we were waiting for Sharda. If it is relating to depression, we will wait for.
I just wanted to chip in something to what Nimi said. 2 generations back, their expectations, their resilience was different also for people.
Their goal was different.
The goal was always, but the expectations from others was also different. Their resilience was different. What to expect from life. Also, they were prepared, mentally prepared that way, that mindset. Now we have a dream which, if we are not able to go nearer to the dream, then it affects us. The mindset.
The next stage of managing stress is building resilience, as you said. Resilience we can only build when we go through adversity, not when we are in the comfort zone. It is impossible to build resilience. That is one of the things. We cannot be like our grandparents because they have gone through tough times. We honestly, when we think what we are going through is tough times, but it is not. So that is one of the reasons, and then we will move on. So this is how stress looks like, now, right?
Yeah.
And this is happening for me the last 2 days because of jet lag. I can tell you because of jet lag. Just 4
It's a form of
hours
stress then.
difference no, it hasn't caused stress. 4 hours difference makes so much of a difference. I cannot sleep until almost 4 o'clock or but that's okay. But it hasn't caused stress. What we're talking about, because of the food habits and the chemicals, many of them we don't realize. We gain weight with that. And we go through life, but many a times we don't stop and smell the roses. There is not much zest for life every day. This is another thing. Look, different ways of looking at stress. How can I bring zest for life every day? In spite of stress, it's not as though we did not have stress. Do we have zest for life? And also we need to question ourselves. These are all open-ended. This will make you think more and come up with more questions also. I'll give the answers, but you have to be able to come up with more questions. That is the idea behind.
Do you think we know stress because now we are more aware of stress? Because I don't
Yeah.
think my or
No,
even
I
my
don't know if you
parents'
were-
generation
I
even
know.
know that is a stress.
Now, another thing, I don't know if you were here when we went through the stories, you probably were
Yeah.
not here. We think we know what is stress. We will see how we are going to know. It is like three blind men probing the
Yeah,
elephant,
yes,
figuring
yes.
out. We know bits and pieces. It's not the entire truth. Even we do not know what is stress. That's why we are here to know. So, what is stress, right? What is stress? Quickly. I don't want you to think it through and think, oh, this must be the right answer. Whatever comes to your
Anger
mind, you
without a
don't
reason.
have to go. If it doesn't, nothing comes to your mind, you don't need to. But don't give a perfect answer. That's not whatever you think it is.
Fear.
Fatigue.
Yeah.
Anger.
Fatigue,
Restless.
restless,
Fear.
Huh?
Fear.
fear,
Anger.
Inability to solve a problem.
Unwanted fear.
okay.
If you are unable to cope,
Okay. Yeah.
unable,
Most
yes.
of you have described the symptoms. That's all I'm going to say. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just say that and then we will move on because I don't want discussion for each slide
Yeah.
because you don't know enough to discuss at a higher level. I want you to be able to discuss at a higher level when you get all the scientific facts. Okay. What is stress? This is what we have learnt in medical school, and rather than giving you definitions, which I will give you the definition, not one that is given in medical textbooks, but I'll give you 3 more definitions on top of that that will help you for implementation that we have come up with ourselves. But I want to make you understand stress in a totally different way, just like how we went through activities. Keeping you in mind, this is where we will absorb, understand stress rather than going with the definition. We have seen this in Discovery Channel, right? A deer grazing, happily grazing, clueless of the environment. And there is a reason why they say you smell danger, right? And animals, they are so acute in their sense of smell. The deer smells danger, which is that tiger hidden in the bushes, and then you can really smell. And what happens at the body, in the body of the deer, we will see when it smelled the danger, the tiger, that the ears perked up, and there were changes in the respiratory system, the changes in the way the heart was beating, and there was changes in the way the blood flow was distributed throughout the body. The next thing you know, it starts chasing even before the cameraman had time to focus on the danger, which is the tiger. So within fraction of a second, things that happened in the body, which is what we call it as flight response. It could be fight response, it could be flight response, it could be freeze response. We will only focus on 1 or 2 things so that we can understand, not everything. So this flight response, which is nothing but stress response, happened in the body of the deer, which is this, all of this. I can go through all of this, but there is no need to. We go through this in the medical school, right? What happened with that stress response? So much of chemicals poured out into the brain that got distributed throughout the body that helped the deer to run away from the danger. Lot of blood flow into the muscles that helped the deer to run away. And mind you, the same thing happened in the body of the tiger too. It's the same adrenaline that flowed in the body of in the brain and in the body of the tiger to chase its prey.
for its survival.
For it had to, that is its lunch. And for the deer, the same thing happened, and it ran away to save its life, literally. And this tiger is running to catch the prey so that it can also live. Same type of chemicals. So Now, instead of going through all of this, you can get all of this on the internet. Not an issue. Whatever you can get on the internet, I'm not going to go into great detail to explain. Now tell me, that stress response that happened in the body of the deer, was that necessary for the deer or not?
Yes, survival.
For its survival. It had to save itself from danger. This is what happens in our bodies whenever we say we are stressed out of fatigue, those are the symptoms, we'll get to that. Whenever we say we are going through stress, the same chemicals that help the deer to save its life is what is being poured into our bloodstream. But is it helping us? Is there any danger for our life? Open-ended questions make you think. But instead of helping, it is causing us havoc, right? And mind you, this happens once in a while for the deer, not every day. Different deer will go through. The predator is one, there are many deer. Each deer will go through once in a while. But for us, almost every day we go through traffic, we get caught, and then we get stressed out.
That's true.
Even before we go, we say things, and then we get stressed out. And then you were saying something which is connected to this. The brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. Even before we get into the traffic, I'm already late, I'm going to be late to my meeting, and the stress response happens. The brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It is our mind which has to discriminate. We will come to that later, just to make you think. So, we are hardwired, this is a technical time, for that stress response. But that stress response is there through that evolutionary biological significance for that stress response, which is to help save us from physical danger. What type of physical danger are we going through? See, even in medical school, we just study like this. We don't connect this to our day-to-day lives, how to implement, not just changing food, not just making lifestyle changes by jogging and losing weight, but the core. If we don't go to the core of understanding what stress is, and we think we understand stress better than the others. They didn't even know the word stress. Now that we know the word stress, we are going through a lot. We don't even know what exactly it is. Just by understanding this itself, even if I stop right now, you can go home, you will lead a better lives, I can assure you. But we want more, of course. We're going to give you more. Right? Then what are our stresses? What are your stresses? Quickly. What are your stresses?
Office pressure.
Office pressure.
Thinking of my parents and making sure they're okay.
They're okay. Yes, concern. The concern is
My kid.
your kid.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah, great children.
children?
Children, most of
Children.
it. For me, it's finding the right balance.
Okay.
Yeah, I would second that.
Yes. And not
Yeah,
that
you can-
grandparents don't have stress. We have established.
No, finances also, relationships.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
relationships.
Relationship.
I can assure you, she doesn't have financial issues.
There are possibilities. Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yes,
Only,
yeah.
oh, I have to pay the mortgage every month. That remembering that is her stress. Or finding the right people to be able to rent out the place. And I'm just kidding. All of us, even to manage the finances that you have,
Exactly.
becomes
Yeah.
stress.
There's a stress.
That is
Yes,
what.
yes.
This is what grandparents go through.
For Amma,
We don't
admin work
realize
stresses
that.
her out.
We don't realize that at a much younger age. Let me come to that stage. I will be happy. But as even
Time never
managing
comes.
itself becomes stressful. Yes, these are our stressors. So we said that what are our stressors? Everything what you said and much more. We will see what it is. And even before that, is there any physical danger to any of these things that you have labeled these as stressors?
Not exactly. Sometimes.
Isn't it?
Very
Physical danger sometimes. How? Tell
So
me.
if she says health, it
Health.
can result
If it's
in
a
headache
health,
or
right,
something
stress.
like that.
Because of
That
health,
is-
there could be
No,
It's
a
not
no.
danger.
Yeah.
You have not understood. That health is a symptom of stress. The stressor itself, is there any physical danger
No.
directly to your life? Like how the tiger was after the.
No. No.
That
No.
is what I meant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the effect of the stress, yes, a danger.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the effect of stress. I'm talking about the stressor itself,
Okay. No.
Yeah.
right? Is there any physical danger to the stressor that we have? None of this. Whereas I'll tell you, we don't even think about this. Not here in this country. And sometimes even here, when you're walking, if you have now there are rules. You cannot have bulldog and pit bulls. You have to be on the
On leash.
leash and whatnot. Earlier, 40 years back, while you're going through, if there is a pit bull, somebody else is playing, and then that can become a physical danger. When a stray dog runs after you, there is physical danger there. Right. So, is there any physical? I don't think so. We agree to that. So, what are our stressors? Again, I'll just show you in terms of pictures rather than saying in words.
Yes. Everything. Yeah.
Right? I only few. That covers the balance and everything. Figuring out a balance between personal and professional life.
Yes.
Right? Deadlines. Right? Or you can also include the health of mom and dad, some back home, that concern. This is during COVID, right?
Yeah.
It was a solution working from home. That became problem many times.
Everything's a problem.
Yeah.
So that concern, you have to feel good, and the parents have to feel good about how you're concerned about your parents' health who are so far away. Then we can figure out ways and means rather than being a concern, which is a beautiful thing that happens for every one of us. We make it stressful because of the uncertainty, right? So, in other words, normal daily activities, our own friends, our own families, they are our stressors. Does that, some plain logic question, does that make sense?
It's
That's
just
why we are
happened.
here.
It's happened, friends and family. We don't think it makes sense or not. It's
That's
just
what we are going to understand. Which part of the brain are we using when we give these answers for ourselves? Not just here, it just happens automatically without thinking. That's why we are here, to put some logic behind this, some an analytical way of seeing this. Otherwise, we're going to talk in an emotional manner, which will not help us.
So when you talk about, which part of your brain, and you earlier made references left and right brain, I'm assuming you're talking about the rational and the emotional side of the
Yeah,
brain.
not the right and left. right and left brain is the old way of classification. Not that it's not important for now. Yes, the rational brain and the emotional brain. We will get into that quickly. It's a cartoon. You can just go through life, right? You can read that. Stress has nothing to do with how many hours you work. It has everything to do with how you feel during those hours. On a long weekend, we have so much lined up. We do all of that, and maybe we are physically tired, mentally, right? Just think about this. If this is the case, how can we put this understanding to every day? It's also the culture that makes us feel. It's not just all of this. This is part of the culture. Talking about stress so much without our thinking, without our knowledge. It just happens. We also get into that habit of saying we're stressed out. But it's going to change from today. We'll see after this, hopefully. Anything before I go into stress, types of stress?
As you mentioned, the physical stress, the mental stress, we got and mental, I got into emotional stress. So these are
Imaginary stress. Imaginary stress.
Imagine, yeah. Most of the time useless stress, but it's just there.
We'll see what is useless and what is not. How can we
4 a.m. stress.
4 a.m. stress. Yeah. Run.
change the way you look at things? The things you look at will change. So we'll get into that. Still, I'm not gone into the definition of stress after this week. As I said, because of that activities now, everything is kind of making sense and it's flowing really fast. We can divide this types of stress into 3 parts: acute stress, episodic acute stress, and chronic stress. Okay? What is acute stress? This acute stress we go through every day. We'll say what it is, and it will not interfere. The kids also will go through, not just us. It will not interfere with their studies or with our work or with our relationships with this acute stress. But that is why we keep on going through this without wanting to come out of it. Traffic.
Yeah.
And sudden illness, we'll overcome.
Yeah.
If for an argument with the family, all these things come, everybody goes through, nothing happens. But it does happen at that time. And there will be slight things depending on how sensitive we are, either we feel it or we don't. But it is happening. When we feel that we are stressed, imagine whenever we say stressed, what are the chemicals that are released? The adrenaline, the cortisol. That is released, that is causing all those changes that we're going to see later what they are. So what is this episodic acute stress? The symptoms are similar to chronic stress, but they occur more and to the acute stress, and they occur more often and they accumulate over a period of time. And it can wear away at our relationships, whether with colleagues, whether with friends, whether with family, those who are close to us or away from us. It doesn't matter. It can wear away if we look at these things as stressful. The concern, if it takes a different angle rather than helping, it can become stressful. It can wear away with the relationship also rather than helping. So what is it? Regular mini crisis that happens either at home or at work or even driving for that matter. We need to make some changes. Either change the route or leave 10 minutes earlier, whatever it is. If we don't do that, the same thing becomes regular mini crisis leads to episodic. And of course, this we cannot help until and unless we change the way we look at things. That is when you have to switch from the third person at times when you cannot. There is no right or wrong. You can go back and forth between surviving or managing stress and evolving. Go to the stick and stone cutter. This is the job. I did this job. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a good job. Just saying that is enough. Of course, these things we don't have choices, right? It's with the system, the deadlines, the exams. And some professions, like in the IT field, you have to keep on training yourself. If you're in the medical field, you have to keep on training yourself to be better. I think most of the professions that you are would be like that. And of course, that is family. This the kids have to understand. Whatever it, just because I fight does not mean anything. I love your elder brother. They have to see that. Go give a hug. Or I love my wife. The husband has to give a hug. They need to understand this is part of life. Just because, especially in this culture, the first thing that comes to the child's mind is divorce. As soon as parents fight, they won't leave. That is what becomes stressful for them. So, that regular fights, they need to understand this is typical of especially Indian families. This is where we love more, the more we argue. But look at this, the more we argue, it is also getting closer. We are getting closer. That is the end result of an argument has to be, you have to get closer to whoever that you are arguing. Keep that yardstick in mind. Otherwise, we carry through these hard feelings and it accumulates, becomes stressful. Even if one person understands this, it's okay. If both of you, with both the spouses understand, it's even better. Or the kid and the parents. Both of you understand this at the right way, it will help. Chronic stress, it will definitely affect your health, your relationships, and your work over a period of time or immediately. Either way. What is chronic stress? See, if we don't understand this even for ourselves, we even forget. We fight because we love each other, we forget. Fight becomes the pattern and we focus on the pattern and it becomes a difficult relationship. Either one, depending on the nature, somebody keeps quiet, somebody will always be arguing. Keep that in the back of your mind. Why did we have kids? Why did we get married? Why am I working? Put certain affirmations. Make your own statements and put in the kitchen, in the bathroom, so the others can see. And sometimes, especially, and always, the reason one of the things I'm talking about kids is, again, coming from US, there was so much focus on the kids these days. How parents are struggling in this day and age with the influence of technology, and not just technology, everything else. The knowledge is not just free, it is available all the time, and not even a right knowledge. Lot of misinformation and disinformation. The parents are so much worried. That's why I keep saying kids is one of this, because I'm coming from that culture. Ended up here 2 days back, always talking about how do we manage? That's why the two booklets that are coming up, kids, how do we make the kids future ready? How do we make the parents future ready? Keeping this in mind, we are working on those booklets, and both of them are going to be in English. So it's something that everybody will be able to use. And chronic stress, what are the other things? Any chronic illness, whether somebody here or back home in India, your parents, your in-laws, anybody who is older, if they have some chronic illness or injury, that becomes stressful. You rightly said financial obligations you have, but those obligations need to be met. The mortgage, the insurance, and the car payments every month, all of it's part of life. We forget it is part of life, it becomes stressful. You have to change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Just like we have every week grocery expenses, there it is little bit more the mortgage expense. No, take it in that way. Until and unless we do that, it becomes again kind of stressful. And at least in this kind, I don't know how much it is in this country as much as it is in US. Especially a kid going to school, an Ivy League school, it is even more. In India, better schools that you go, the fees would be lot less, but not in US.
Here as well.
So the better school. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about at the undergrad level and then graduate level. So the Ivy League schools are much more expensive, and you don't get any kind of scholarships, even though the kids are so intelligent. So these are kind of, we need to change the way we look at everyday life in this country. Otherwise, it is impossible to be able to come out of this. Your question, yes, part of it. Not the only thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it will play a huge role. The processed food, even simple meals cooked daily, however much it is difficult, if you can maintain that, not only it will help through food, but also how it brings the people together in the families. And that I'm seeing with the younger generation in US. My own daughter, every day she comes home and cooks. She has 3 kids, she's a physician, her husband is a physician, and it was not like this only because, not as a value, because she believed in that. Food is what is going to bring us all together, and when that is done with so much of love, caring and harmony and the right quality of food is also important. She's so much younger, but she was born and raised there, so she gives different type of importance than the way we give it. That's what I'm trying to say. This is what you can inculcate with your kids, and then try to make them part of the preparation of food or whatever. That it has to be family time. If not preparation of food, cleaning up or setting up the table and eating together is extremely important part of daily life to be de-stressed. And how to spend that time while eating together, that's another thing. You have to ask me that question. I'll answer that later on.
Would like to.
Yes, that's very important. Now ask me, because I don't want to bring it, put the horse before the cart. So, and another extremely important thing. We think, especially in this country, that freedom, I want to be free, I want to eat whenever I want, I want to cook whenever I want, I want to do it, everything, because everything is about freedom. Trust me, that regular daily activities is enough to put us on track. That will take care of everything. If we are following that as parents, the kids will follow easily. You don't have to do much. Values are caught, not taught. Right? And we can start any time. This is what, if we just start and then we tell, oh, this is what I learned, you have to do this, that won't happen. Again, in a different, maybe as a formal meeting, to be able to speak to the kids. And we are here to improve our quality of life as a family, to do that and to be able to come up with a daily routine along with the rest of the family. We cannot make a daily routine, you have to get up and then do this. No, it has to come from each person and then collectively we need to do this. Extremely important. And especially as you get older, it is even more important. If we don't start at a younger age, it cannot happen when we get older. Before I go into definitions about the types of stress, any questions?
What about imagined stress?
We will get to that. We have not gone into the
Oh,
definition of
that's
stress.
different. I think much of the stress is because of our imagined
We
stress.
will get to the definition. Okay? Go.
Another, I mean, I was just thinking, right? Chronic stress. Another reason could be just life-changing events. No?
Yeah.
That's also.
Absolutely.
But does it have to be chronic stress, or will it start with acute stress, then become
If you
episodic
don't take
acute?
care of it. And that is why others see, for your own example, I'll take because everybody knows about your example. Yes, it is stressful, but we see this that you're evolving through this. But if you are not even aware of that, it is still stressful for you.
It's still stressful.
That is where it becomes empowered when we understand all of this. And my goodness, I'm still going through, but I have gone through in a beautiful or in a right way. And it will get better and better. That awareness has to be there within ourselves to be empowered. Otherwise, life goes on, just goes on. Autopilot mode. This is where we need that analytical mind. Otherwise, we're going to stay at the emotional level and be happy or we feel sad and then that's it. Even for people who are highly analytical like me and a left brain, if we don't stop and think and analyze in an objective manner, I won't say in an unemotional manner, in an objective manner, it won't be empowering. Because at times we will feel, we are at our wits' end. That is when things like this should help, and things like this, when we cannot help ourselves, other family members or friends should be able to help. That is one of the reasons that we keep having that support group meeting on a regular basis, because some of our volunteers say if we don't attend some of these, we know how easy it is to forget. That is why Lali Aunty is involved in having these support group meetings every week. She's doing for a few years. Every week she runs that YK care group. And as much as she can do it. Otherwise, she brings other resources, resourceful people to be able to do this. And they say, we try to do. I don't know why you're taking so much. Try to do twice a month, I said. When she tried to do that, people started, no, we need it. Every week we're missing. It is not possible. So went back to every week.
Don't people need the time and space to then implement, learn, before they have another and another, because otherwise it becomes ineffective as a process?
Correct. Depends on the people. There was a need from the society there, from the people who are attending, same people. And obviously there is a need. They're constantly learning newer things. And sometimes you will be able to implement if you keep bringing the newer things. learning intellectually, there's no need to stop. But for implementation, yeah, that depends on each person,
Yeah.
because they're trying, and not every time everything can be implemented right away within that week, but they're constantly learning. That's another thing, to be learning newer things. That is developing a growth mindset, to be a lifelong learner. Just like how we learn things on this, we're quick. Every day we are learning, going through so many things in the same way. They're learning through this in a beautiful way, and she's part of that.
And you learn from others also.
Yeah.
That we are meeting weekly means we don't have to go through that experience ourselves. Somebody experiences and then narrates. We learn from others.
Yeah, I'm not even part of that. I'm not
This
the
keeps
one
you
who's-
focusing also. Sometimes you go away from little bit the main track. Being in the group makes you be in the track continuously.
Exactly. And it is shared learning.
To share learning.
It is shared learning. It's not one person doing the monologue.
And also it is not that all members meet every week.
Yeah.
But there are some who meet. At
Every
different times you may not be able to meet, but still the learning goes on.
And there is a theme. So some people may, it's okay, I don't need this, or because it's happening for several years, and then they pick and choose. And as she said, there is some few people who are there every week, and few others join and then stop.
Because the point is, there's a demand.
It's
for
possible because we do it online now. Otherwise it
Yeah.
won't be
Yeah.
possible.
Now we're going to get into the hardcore of definition of stress. The first definition, as I said, we included more definitions so as to help you implement. If I just gave you one definition that is given in our medical books, yeah, we understand, but so we will go through those 4 definitions and see. I'm also giving you the solution right away. For each definition there is a different solution, so you can pay attention to that, and then so we'll give you the definition and the solution too. It's our internal reaction to the external stimulus. The external stimulus will be different, right? But internally, whatever happens at the level of neuroscientifically, neurologically, it is the same. But again, how it expressed in each person outwardly will be different. So there is a stimulus and we react to it, right? So that stimulus, we can also say, is a stressor. That is what we're talking about. And that reaction is nothing but the stress we go through. This is an instinct mode. If it happened in deer, that means this is what happens in animals too. And if we just remain at this level, we are in the instinct level of eliciting that stress response. It's an instinct mode. We don't realize this. We need to come out of that instinct mode, and there is a reason for us to be humans. Only humans can come out of this instinct mode, not animals. We have the cerebral capacity to come out of this instinct mode. And I don't know if you know, Viktor Frankl. You've heard about it? In Search of Meaning. He was a Holocaust survivor. And he's the one who started what is called logotherapy. And he says, between stimulus and response, there is a short gap. There is some time between the stimulus and the way we react. And in that small gap of time, we have the freedom to choose how we react. that little bit of time is what we need to train ourselves how to respond, how to reflect earlier times and then respond, how to reflect, and we might still react. Many times we will still react, but if we understand this and then come back and let go of our ego and says, yes, I reacted. We will not be able to say at work so easily, at least at home. But that we need to develop that trust with our loved ones to be able to say, yes, I reacted, and even for the others to accept, yes, that's okay, you reacted, we understand. That has to happen. For that, we need to build that trust even with the spouse, with the parents, with our children, with our siblings. For each person, how we build that trust will vary from person to person.
Sorry, can you give an example? I'm not 100% able to connect with this. Can there be any example?
Yeah, I will take an example of what is happening at home, a tiff, an argument. And kids or spouse, they push our emotional buttons, right? And we react. What more can you expect? You don't have no idea what I have gone through at work. This is the first thing. I'm just dramatizing, right? That is what comes out. That is an instinct mode. We are reacting to it. Now, there is a time between what they say and how we react. We know this. How do we choose how to, even if it is reacting, how do we choose to react is there during that time. And even if we lose our cool, if we react, the next moment we realize, but we don't admit because our ego comes in the way. At that moment can we say, and
Yeah,
does that make sense?
perfect.
So from that instinct mode, otherwise when we are reacting, we do this even after all of this we will. At times it will happen for all of us. But we need to realize at that moment it's an instinct mode. And then we have to change that to a reflective mode. That reflective mode, of course, it has to happen within ourselves, and there also has to be communication. Otherwise, if we reflect within ourselves and not express that, and only express I'm sorry, that also will not help. See, it was different in earlier generations, earlier times. A stoic personality is to bear everything. This is how our grandparents were, would not even express much. They were able to bear so much, and that is what is said in Greek literature, that stoicism, right? Stoic personality. Many a times it doesn't work in this day and age. That is very much needed. We have to have that. But with the right communication is where, as a group, as a family, we will be able to grow together. Otherwise, it's always one person bearing it, and one time it gets exploded. The other person always bears, I never knew, you did not tell me. How can I know what you're going through? Right? Yes, we are developing our personalities individually, especially when, not just here, even in India, this is what is happening with younger generation. But it is not just developing individually, we always have to keep the whole family in mind. Each one of us, whether it's a child, even for the young 5-year-old, we can train. It's all about that compassion and kindness and understanding. and to think beyond oneself. Think family as a unit. This is what is falling apart, not just in US, not just in UK, but younger generation even in India. I'm talking through experience, not through any of the books. Life experience, traveling so much. Please keep communication open. Communication is really important. There will always be somebody in the family, in the core group, who is an introvert. Don't give labels, don't accept labels. We have to figure out a way how we can make the other person open up. Or if we are one, if we are introverts, how we have to trust and open up. Right? So the answer is to come out from, the answer is what is usually at the bottom, from that instinct mode to reflective mode. We understood what happened with the deer. That's at a tangible level. But a lot of our stresses is because of the interpersonal relationship, not because of the physical work that we do, not the number of hours. Even at work, if we had a great team, we will work so much and feel good about it. It's only because of the difficult relationships, either at work or at home, is what makes it difficult. And we could be that person to be able to change. We need to be the change that we want to see in others.
And then ego and pride is the main reason.
One of the reasons.
One of the reasons.
One of
yeah.
the reasons.
I
Not
think
the
that-
name, because sometimes we don't even know how to express.
Exactly. We don't know what to say.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like what you were talking about. I cook rice, but I don't know how to. I was just
Yes.
listening. I cook rice every day, but I don't know how to explain how to make rice to others. And the person thinks, I don't want to give my recipe. Then we need to learn how to express, and then we need to put that effort to learn how to express. We need to express to them, I don't know, but I will write it down and then bring you, or show this is how I do. I don't know how to, because this has become a habit. Habit means we don't think about it. It has happened somewhere and we don't even know how to express. Not expressing has become a habit. Not be able to be understood or to understand others has become a habit, because we are in this, I'm seeing this more and more, much more than last year. From last year to this year, I see the people in US, there is so much change. They are becoming more and more, I don't want to use the word selfish, it's not selfish,
Insular.
but self-centered. I'm understanding the difference between self-centered and selfishness. Earlier I used to use this synonymously.
Me time has come too much nowadays.
Huh?
Whatever the
Me
me time you
time,
have,
yeah.
it's not sufficient.
Yeah.
Before we used to, okay, holiday, now this is my
This is
holiday.
the
My
culture.
holiday.
This is the influence of culture.
Yeah.
As adults, we are being influenced with the culture. That is the nature of the culture. Just like they spend billions of dollars to attract our attention, right? Either we can fall for it, or knowingly we should know how to come out of it. It's exactly the same way this culture, American culture, there's no different. It is the cultural influence. Without our knowledge, we get sucked into it. We need to be proud of how we were brought up. We need to be proud of our own culture. I'm not asking you to go do puja every day. We do this, you do that. None of that. The way you are what you are, the way you are successful because of the way your parents and grandparents have loved you and the way they have raised you, does not mean you have to raise your kids the same way. That feeling, that hold on, and that empathy for the parents who are out there should not become stressful. You have to feel good, they have to feel good, and you have to work in a way you figure out a solution, not becoming stressful. Whether your parents at home or the kids here, it will be the same thing. Until and unless we are proud of our own culture, the way we have been brought up, the way even our parents, in their own way, we don't approve of their way of saying because we don't want to be preached. That is how their way is. But go to their feelings. They don't know how to express. It's the same way. Your kids will know. You don't know how to express your love. I want it a different way. It's our way to learn to express that. Otherwise, we're going to be saying the same thing. My parents don't know how to express. They are still preaching. And from our kids' eyes, we are also preaching them.
Yeah.
And we are carrying the same thing. Somewhere we need to break that. And that can happen only through understanding all of this knowledge. And not just knowledge, we cannot keep this within ourselves. In our own way to bring it at home to be able to discuss with family. Otherwise, this becomes an intellectual exercise.
Just to your example, right? I'll just tell a bit of my experience as well. So, with my daughter, food is very important for her health reasons, right? And there was a period of time when I used to see her throwing away food. So, my instinct was to confront her. And when I confronted her about it, it would lead to a complete argument and meltdown and tantrums and me shouting, her screaming. So I called
Which
up
is
auntie.
normal, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I called up auntie about it, saying, Auntie, I'm at my wit's end, I don't know what to do. So the first advice auntie gave me was, don't be transactional. It's not about the food, right? It's about her state of mind, which is causing her to throw away that food. So she was like, try and understand what her state of mind is and work with her to understand that. The food is just a symptom.
Okay.
So, again, coming back to instinct, we see what we see in the moment without asking why something is happening the way it's happening.
Go to the why. Go to the why. Why has to be strong for us to be able to change anything. And the way the kid behaves, that is the normal for the kids. But we want everything to be good for our kids, so we behave. This is what our parents are doing for us when they preach us at this age. I know, Mom, what do you know?
Yeah.
I know how to be. This is how it started. I've done this too. This is our started answer. But go little deeper. Go to the intent. We cannot ask the kids, say my intent is good. The kid won't understand. If you go to the intent, and then your relationship with your parents will be different. And if that is different, your relationship with your kids will be different too. In the sense, the way we communicate, that's what I mean. That love, deep love, especially in our Indian families, is so deep. We don't have any doubts. We don't question that. But that we're not able to translate that to the next generation. That should be the focus. That can happen if we are proud of the way we were brought up, rather than thinking about all the things that did not go well when we were young. Be grateful for everything that your parents have given, and that is when it gets translated. And one of the tools, I'll just say this and then I'll come back. One of the tools is putting that glass down, is to be grateful. Some of you, 3 of you were here last time.
Yeah.
We had talked about that, developing an attitude of gratitude, keeping a gratitude journal and writing. That is
I do follow that on and off.
great.
You're okay,
like,
you
when
know.
I'm thinking of that, okay, I've been blessed with so many things.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
constant mechanism.
Yeah.
But that one conversation really made such a huge difference to the way that I learned to deal with my daughter, So, Auntie, thank you.
Yeah.
But you had the thought of reaching out to auntie. I don't even think to reach out. That was good of you
That
as
is
well.
why she's providing this opportunity.
Yeah, she was good to thought that she need to reach out. Most of us
No,
won't even
she's-
think to reach out.
No, but that's why she's giving you all that opportunity. What
That's
she
true,
got
that's-
is
thank
what
you,
we're saying.
yeah.
That is what both of us stand for in YogaKshema. Everybody is a volunteer, not even a single paid employee there. We're doing this in an unconditional manner. You knew you were going to get back, so even if I had asked you for a gold chain, you would have given. But we're literally doing it in an unconditional manner. Of course, it is also helping us. We're not just giving something. Absolutely, it is helping us. Otherwise, we could not be giving so on a repeated manner for this long. We are growing. We are evolving. As we share, we evolve.
That's true.
And everybody who is here, even whether it is Lali Auntie or me or others, those who are there for few years, we are the ones. We are bringing our own strengths and then seeing what else can be done, what should be done. And her own son-in-law is doing this for the teachers all over India. Teachers as neurosculptors.
It's also a few from
outside. Now we started off with the teachers all over India. Now it is for professionals from any country. There are different countries, people who are participating in that. That's a Zoom session. Now rather than
the
it's for
students,
teachers, we have made it as professionals.
I'm thinking for my daughter's age, because the peer, mostly the teen is the tough. There's a lot of hormonal imbalances going on, peer pressure and academic pressure, everything. So I'll just talk to you maybe.
Yeah.
And we can talk about. They also need it. We know they're going through stress. My daughter is quite openness because of A level, the stress. So we are also giving some. See, they just don't want to do yoga. They don't like it. They wanted something very
See,
scientific.
it is a tool.
Yeah.
Yoga is a tool. What we do is we give the tool, but we show them how it works. Until and unless whether it is them or us. Otherwise, we have so many tools. We go, we look for it, we join. After a while, we stop because it's only how. We focus on how. If you don't know why we need to do this, this is what it says in science. It's all about why. Our why has to be strong. Until and unless our why is strong, no amount of how I give you, it won't be helpful. This is what also Simon Sinek says in his own way.
Yeah.
But I say it in a scientific way. He says it in the corporate way. That will touch your thinking. Simon Sinek.
Anyhow, what I wanted to say, the platform makes a difference. The people who come together, that is what happens in a support group.
Definitely,
meeting. Yeah.
that makes us focus.
So just two friends or few friends talking together is different when we come together formally, and then we try to, really share our feelings with. Unconditionally, without thinking, what am I saying, what are they going to think? No, it is for the betterment of all, for the learning of all, for the growth of all, and of course, ultimately, it is be the evolving.
Non-judgmental, because you are in the like-minded people.
Yeah.
That is another thing. It's like where you can be free by yourself. Sometimes you filter a lot when you share
Yeah,
it
this is
also.
what they will think if I
Yeah.
say it.
Now,
Yeah.
that happens with the friends. That's where we have certain guidelines in support meetings. The main thing is that non-judgmental way of hearing also, hearing and speaking, and that is one of the guidelines of that. Okay, we'll go further. So this is the very first definition. So we need to go from instinct mode to a reflective mode. That's the solution for this. Second definition. Look at this. Stress is a biological. You want to read it out? Sarika, go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone,
Anyway, yeah, she was reading good.
Okay. Stress is a biological term which refers to the consequences of the failure of human to respond appropriately to emotional or physical threats, whether actual or imagined.
Imaginary stress.
Imaginary stress.
That's what Lalita Aunty has been saying all along. Many a times we imagine this. I'll give you an example, you'll get it right away. A kid before going to exam or a test at school, always imagine. Or your deadline, as soon as you're given a deadline, you always imagine the worst thing.
Yeah.
You will finish it, but you won't be able to enjoy that project also.
Yeah.
Right? The brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. And the thoughts that we get, they are real. Because every time you get a thought, a chemical is released and there is electrochemical changes. In that way it is real. But not all thoughts are true. But we imagine, especially about the future, because of the fear. Lot of you
Yes.
talked about fear. Because of fear. Fear is the mother of all negative emotions. Because of fear, we are anxious about the future, unknown. And that fear most of the time is imagined. Who is it who said 99% of the things that you think never happens, right? Most of it is fear. Never happens.
We know that by experience, but for each incident, we go back to the same.
Worst case scenario.
We don't learn. Yeah.
Yeah, focus on real and imagined. Not all thoughts.
Ayyo, this took me so long, even if I read again, I get all confused. To get clarity on this, not all thoughts are true.
It's a neuroscience concept. That is the solution for this definition of
But
stress.
we don't even know it's true at that moment of time. We
Until
don't know
now.
is it real or imagined.
That is what the thought is. It just happens.
Yes.
The whole idea of all of this coming in a neuroscientific way, not as any resource person who can do, a trainer who comes, will give you the tools. We are trying to educate you as scientists. We're trying to educate you. That is how thoughts are. Don't believe all the thoughts because only it is your own thoughts. Don't believe everything that goes on in your head. Question them. They have terms. This is what we go through in support group meetings. Metacognition skills we talk about. Think about your own thoughts. Think about your own feelings. Analyze. How do we analyze? In a mindful way, not in a judgmental way.
So use your mind, not your brain, basically.
Which part? No. Brain and mind, they are interconnected. What type of mind you need to use? The
Okay.
emotions and feelings come from the lower mind. We need to be using the higher mind, which we call it as intellect. What we're talking about, the analytical mind, not the emotional mind or the habitual mind. All of this, what we're talking about, comes from the habitual mind, from the emotional mind. But we need to be using the higher mind, the buddhi, the intellect. In Bhagavad Gita, they say it very simply. In English, we both are called mind and then we need to do it in a different way. In Bhagavad Gita, it says how simple. Manas and buddhi. Use your buddhi. Then they use the word control your manas. Rather than control, it says mano nigraha. Rather than control, we say train your mind. Use your buddhi, train your mind. So simple. Right? Yeah.
This my grandparents, I can hear them right now saying these things.
Yes.
They're not here anymore. They're passed away, but those are the things that they used to just really say.
Yeah. But never comprehend. I think we just listen to them. But I don't think we ever comprehend. I didn't.
Most of
It's
us.
like my daddy keeps saying, okay, yeah, listening.
Most of us.
Good,
Most
yeah.
of us do this. I'll tell you a story and then it will bring a smile on our face and then that's how we understand. You're bringing in very important points, There's this Gurukul, Swamiji and some of the students. Everything goes on smoothly. But in the ashram, Swamiji is very broad-minded. There was a miso.
Cat.
You met-
Cat.
All of you have met miso, right? There was a miso, a
My
cat.
cats.
Yeah.
Cat in the ashram. And when the Swamiji would do the puja, the cat did that. It not puja time or not, and it would come just like it was smelling and then toppling everything down, and then the cat would come and then disrupt. So the Swamiji said, you know what, when I sit for puja, just make sure you tie the cat around the tree, and then as soon as I'm done, make sure you release the cat also. And the students would do that on a regular basis. It has come from the Guru. Of course, they're very religious to do this. After some time, the sadhu dies, and then his own student who was in the next village comes to take over this ashram. He brings his students along, and these old students explain to them how things were running, and all of that happens, and the old students tell the new students what needs to be done, including tying the cat during the puja. All of that is okay, and then everything goes smoothly for a while, and after some time the cat dies. And then the new students go looking for a cat in the village to bring the cat to tie. Otherwise, how are we going to do the puja? This is what happens. Whatever they said, we did without understanding why. We did without understanding the shloka we recited. It's such a funny thing. We've all done it. Not just you, not just your generation, even my generation. We all did that. But some of us, if not then, at least later on, somebody like me, left brain, scientist, wanted to know the why. Science is all about the why. And went deeper to understand everything, whether the rituals or any of this, how can this work? This is what we do. That is our habitual mind. And we cannot blame that at that age we are only interested in ritual. This is what we try and do for the kids. We try to give the explanation, and then they are not concerned. They say they won't even listen. And I told you, you don't do it. Rather than that, let it be a ritual. It is okay. Make it as a ritual. As they get older like us, now there is a reason, not for all of them. Others are happy doing the rituals, not knowing why. And somebody will say, oh, now you don't need to. Okay, I don't, one less work. They will not even know why they did it or why they should not do it. Most of the people are like that. That's okay. At least for some of us work, not that. Third definition. So the second definition, the solution is not all thoughts are true. So you need to question your thoughts. Is this thought true or not? You put every thought to a true or false test. And be honest with yourself when you answer. That's also important. Right? So the solution is coming at the bottom as well. Third definition. Resisting or not accepting the reality is what causes stress. Can we resist the deadlines that we face at work? Can the kids resist the exams and the tests and the training that we all have to go through? We cannot. We have to accept that we have no control. But the things that we don't have control, we stress over. Do we have control over the traffic? But we get stressed. Does this simple question, does this make sense? Logical question. How much control do I have on the traffic? I don't know how much traffic you have, unlike US. It's similar to that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a traffic. First thing is traffic. Stress that happens. Stress about the traffic jam and being late, especially Monday morning for that. I don't know why they keep meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's Monday morning meetings. We've gone through this, right? And we bitch and moan about it. Do we have control? But these are the things that are stressing us out. Resisting and not accepting the reality. We want the reality the way we want it. We cannot accept the reality as it is. So, what is the solution? This is the solution. This. Anybody wants to read that out?
Yeah, I'll read that one out. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Age-old serenity prayer. Go to the internet, you see, I have no idea who it is from. They give some names, but it has been there. In every tradition it is there, but this is one of the most popular ones. We keep on changing the things we cannot, like our kids, like our spouses. We know we cannot change anybody, we can only influence them, right? We cannot change, but yet we keep on trying to change. That's just an example, but many things that are under our control say, oh, it's too tough,
Too much work.
too much work. How does she know what happens here? It's easy to say, and we let go. Yes, we all do this.
And
I'm
there-
not blaming. We've all done it. We'll still do it. But remember that at that time and this, and let that smile come on your face, each everybody's face, and then there is an opportunity for us to change later.
Sometimes that is the right thing to do also at that moment. Sometimes it becomes like you are doing things to satisfy others' expectations. That becomes, so you let it go, you do what you can, that is good. At that moment, for that event, it is good. Better for you.
But everything
Yes.
you do with awareness, not in an autopilot mode. I say, even when you make a
That's for
mistake,
me.
do it with awareness. Without our knowledge, we go through this so much stuff. No, I'm really bored. I'm going to go on this for half hour, and we know we don't have that half hour. We're making a mistake because we won't be able to cook food. We could have easily made pasta which take 12 minutes. If it is al dente, it is 10 minutes. Yet we know, make the mistake with awareness. Then then it is empowering. Then you'll be able to change. But we go on an autopilot mode. We are not in the mode. Whatever left over, we can always get pizza. And then we go on this.
It's a habitual or addiction.
Right, we won't go there because that's another topic in itself. But
But
that's
that's where actually the problem is
no,
like.
that's why I'm calling it as a little mistake. We'll
Okay.
keep it at that. Yes, it is. It
We are
has
aware of the mistake actually.
Yeah, and it has become a habit, and it is going into addiction without our knowledge, because these days that's why we have apps to track how much time. And we put the app, we look at the kids' phone, we don't check our phone, how much we spend.
Sometimes I feel kids have more willpower than we do.
No,
That
kids,
aspect.
not sometimes. Kids will always have more willpower than parents. Parents have lot more discerning power than the kids. We need to be able to express that to each other and get help from each other. Whatever willpower is lacking, we need to ask them, help me. And whatever discerning power, we have to build that rapport and trust so that they come to us. Last definition.
We do it all the time. All the time.
At work, what choice do we have, right? Sure, the deadline, sure, and you come back and you have to sell this to your team members.
Sorry?
And then
I'm not sure I agree entirely.
Okay. No, she's not sure.
I'm not sure I agree entirely. I understand the purpose of that.
we'll go through it and
Yeah.
see if we
Yeah.
still. These are all specific situations, not general. The general definition I have given, this is for implementation under different circumstances.
My main word was boundary. That's all I'm going to say. Setting
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah, we'll see.
No,
That-
I can. My personal experience is I don't have the ability to say no, and that is part of. And I find at my workplace, right, a lot of women say that they have the same problem, that they just don't. It's something that needs to be cultivated, but instinctively we don't have the ability to say no, and
It's
that
not
then
ability.
adds
It's
up.
not
It's
ability.
like other people should not think the ladies can't take it. There's a pride comes.
Yeah, no, but
knowing
when I
this,
say
I can't do
ability,
it.
we don't say no. We
don't
don't
Can't
like
say
to.
no.
Okay, we don't like to say no.
For various
Let's put it that way.
reasons,
We
yeah.
don't like to say no.
It's not
and
about
that
lack
causes-
of knowledge as well. It's just the quality motion, whatever the nature.
No, I will give you a positive twist. We always take pride in our work. I know when we have to put more effort, we will say yes because and that will.
Yeah.
We think at that time when we are saying yes, maybe if it is not an automatic yes, we will take pride. But later we will say yes. But later on we think, oh my goodness, it involves this, it involves that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that.
And the two members in my team, they are going to be away next week.
True.
All of this will come later. Or I have some surgery going on with that little child of mine. I didn't take into account when I said yes. Then we start analyzing things later and then we get stressed out. This we understand, but yet we feel we complete it within deadline.
Yes.
But because all of this is stressing, even though we have completed the deadline, we won't feel good about it.
That's true.
We are only focusing on the things that we are not. All the time that was rough and tough, I still did it. It was so tough, and I still did it. We are focusing on the negative aspects. The positive aspect is we have finished
of
the
everything
work,
we've
and
done.
everybody else is happy except me. You're the major person who did all of the work, whether at home or in workplace. Simple logical question: does that make sense? We have done it. We have met the deadline. No matter how difficult it was, we need to take pride at that time. Yes, I did it. Next time, I better be careful. Before saying yes, all of that will come later. If we have learnt it the proper way.
Yeah, but if we I don't know, habitually the glass half empty for me. What I haven't done, even if I do 98%, I think 2% left. I should have done better. I should have done this way. I should have done.
That
So
is,
that's
there
like
is a fine line between taking pride in what we do and being a perfectionist. Sometimes we need to accept this is what as women we struggle, whether it's at work or at home, taking care of kids, cooking, cleaning, all of this is what happens because we focus on the things that has not happened because of the innate bias that we have, which we're going to go into that later.
So,
But
would
here,
people
yes.
pleasing be in that?
No, I'm not talking about people pleasing here. No. In a genuine way, I'm talking about. This happens at work. We don't have control. Yes, we have to say yes. That also we don't agree. We said yes and we keep on complaining. It is so tough, it is so tough. Where is the choice? You have to combine sometimes other definitions along with that too. When there is a deadline that we need to meet, do we have any choice to say to our upper management, what do we know? Everything that happens, whatever is given, we need to take care of that.
More
We
as
have no
culture as well.
choice, but how we look at the job, how we are looking at our own work, that is within our control. That is what I'm trying to bring that here. We think, we say yes, but we think it is tough and we feel really bad, but we end up doing the work. There is a mismatch between what we think, how we feel, what we say, and what we do. We do things correctly, but we feel it in the wrong way. After having done it rightly. Does that make sense? Now is this making sense?
Yeah, I failed to kind of reflect as my instinctive mode that kicked in before reflection. But I think it was more about, yes, it's about how you achieve
Exactly.
it. You know, you don't need to do the full whole hog and do it all yourself. It's about how you take corrective
Yeah.
action to achieve that goal, and then
That's why I
that's how
said-
you manage distress.
Yeah, that's why I said we will wait and then I'll develop this.
Yeah.
All of this is also, if you do not know how to say no, it can also be people pleaser. That is not we're talking about. Somebody said people, that is not what we're talking about. This is genuine way. That's why, especially when we use certain logical questions, you will get the right answers. When we look at it in an emotional way, that is where it gets colored. Alignment of our thoughts. You have action is proper. Align it with your feeling and your thoughts. You have done it right. You have met the deadline, right? So another way of looking at it, sometimes we don't have choice of what we can do, what we cannot do. Whatever you do, and you would have done it, enjoy that. This is what we lack. Even cleaning, cooking, enjoy the work that we did, not focus on the 2% we could not do. I wanted to make that fresh chutney, I could not. Yes, I opened up the bottle, so what?
Open the bottle with love.
No guilt.
Exactly. Hey, you should be happy. You get chutney in glass bottles these days. Not when I was at your age.
Nothing.
And yours, we had to make our own.
I go quiet.
Hmm.
No communication.
No right or wrong, but is it helping? If you're doing the same thing again and again, if you expect different answers, we know it won't get. You know what Einstein calls that?
Stupid or fool or something he used to say.
You do the same thing and again and again expect something different. And he uses a stronger word. I wish it was stupidity. He says insanity.
Insanity,
That
correct.
is very strong, but it drives home my point. We all do that.
I know.
I think with me it's sleep. I can't
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah, and obviously, at the middle of the night, I just keep starting thinking about it.
around 3 o'clock is usually 3
Exactly,
4 o'clock.
yeah.
Brahma.
Muhurta.
That
It's
is
a time to meditate.
meant for something
Yes,
else, not for
Not,
this.
yeah.
And it's also sleep
that's-
and anger.
Yeah.
I can say these both still affects me.
No, I do get quieter. I'm with you. It's like, okay, everything, like I don't know, I learned to be a poker face, not, but just get quieter, but it's just going on.
Sometimes being
Yes.
quiet is extremely important. I'm not saying we have to communicate all the time, but we have to have the discerning power when we need to communicate, when we need to be quiet. It's also very important.
It's just by nature. I don't even know sometimes that I'm quiet. Somebody say, "Oh, why you are so quiet? Say something."
That's nice. I'm other way around. I get more angry when I'm stressed.
I get more quiet. The angrier I get, I just get into myself even more. Even like husband complained, I can't even fight you because it's winding him up because I'm getting quiet. He's not coming up.
You're not getting
No,
clue. What for you angry?
what is the
Yeah.
shape say what?
I
Which
tend
one
to
is different?
overwork.
Yeah.
I tend to overwork or become OCD because I need something to channel my stress into that achieve something else, and that makes me feel better, even though it's not addressed the root cause. It's interesting.
Right. Even sometimes I'll do what okay. I'm stressed at office. I'll try to do something of my personal taste just to give that pride of okay, I'm doing something really good. to compensate that
Yeah.
stress level.
We figured out our own different ways.
I'll get a bottle. Anyone else?
Yeah, me
Auntie,
too.
can we take a 2-minute break? I'll just get water.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
will you
yeah.
have
Yeah,
some
so
water?
it is for you.
Oh,
We're
but-
waiting.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
we
no,
have
auntie.
to break and then
We'll
anyway.
help us.
No, then we'll. Anyone?
No, no, no. What I
I'll
mean
try
is,
and get
so whatever. So
Okay.
because
I'll
we're
put
just
water.
making conversation
I'll
because we
just-
didn't want to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll
No,
just.
no, that's fine.
Just had to
Yes,
check in
I
on.
know. I know what I
I
mean.
forgot I
is we
got
can-
out.
Oh, that's
everybody
fine.
can take if they want. Is
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying. We just keep talking. We wait for each other. Okay.
All good?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, auntie.
How does stress affect you? We were just discussing. I won't go into this because we know much more than what is given in books, but just for our own sake, I have put in what happens at the level of the body, what happens on our moods, what happens on our behavior. Many times we don't relate this to the stress. See, much more than food causing stress, stress is causing us to eat
More.
Yeah.
or not to eat with some
I
people.
know both things
Both.
happen.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleep too much or
Or
not
never
able to
sleep at
sleep.
all, yeah.
Exactly. That's just like it shows sleep issues, eating issues, both ways.
Procrastination is interesting, auntie.
Yeah, that happened without even thinking.
Because we become fatigued and then
Everything
stop
happens
linked each
without
other.
thinking, autopilot.
Autopilot, yeah. So if we do it later, it will just work it out.
Yeah.
Itself out.
So good, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? We have kind of covered. What does this all mean? Now we're going to get into the neuroscience aspect of it and then understand all of this at a much deeper level. Believe it or not, we are all hardwired for fight or flight response. We have seen what it is. Now we need to rewire ourselves for relaxation response. Hardwired for this is for survival mode. We need to survive, right? We saw that in the gym. This is for the survival mode. We are hardwired. But if we need to evolve, we need to rewire ourselves for this relaxation response. And what is that relaxation response, right? Whatever we see in the stress response, what happens to the blood pressure, heart rate, respiratory rate, oxygen consumption, blood flow to the muscles increase for that muscle deer, we saw that. Our perspiration increases, muscle tone increases. All of this results in stress response. Whatever went up, when we learn to rewire ourselves for relaxation response, all of those parameters will go down.
Sorry, auntie.
All those parameters will go down. So, what is that relaxation response? It was Herbert Benson who actually did a lot of research on this relaxation response. And we'll see what that is. And ultimately, if we do this right, if we practice this relaxation response, on demand, we can use just 3 breaths, and sometimes even single breath is enough for us to elicit this relaxation response. But we should have practice. We'll see what that is.
Can I quickly share my thoughts about this?
Please.
I have tried this, and there are a few occasions where it didn't work.
Yeah.
To
We'll
calm
see
me
what
down.
it is because we do not know how it works. And we resist this. We have the capacity to resist. We'll see why it doesn't work. If our belief system hasn't changed, it won't work. That's why I'm saying not just, if you only keep doing at the breath level, 3 breaths, it won't work. For the 3 breaths to work, we would have put in hours of practice other times, doing the relaxation technique and change our belief system, it is possible. No matter what, we have the capacity to resist anything. That is our cerebral capacity. And we try to resist some many a times the good things. We have the capacity to resist anything that is negative. That is what we need to remember. We'll get
Sorry,
into
come
that.
again, we have the capacity to even control the negative as well.
Not even that. That is, yes, absolutely. That is how we can evolve.
When
We're
we-
going to go into deeper now. So, then how can we evolve through stress, right? The whole thing is about not just managing, we have the capacity to evolve through this. What does it mean? It means we need to rewire our habits. Things are already hardwired, autopilot mode. This another word is habits. We don't think it happens. That is a habit.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad, all habits we don't think. It happens. Pushing our emotion buttons, we react. This happens. And how do we rewire? It is through the process of neuroplasticity. So, what is that neuroplasticity? And how do we relate to stress? We'll see that. You know, we have heard this. To change our life, we need to change our minds, right? I think it is, let me see, Bertrand, is it? I forget. I'll tell you the name. It says, until and unless you change your mind, nothing is possible. So, for anything to be possible, you have to change your mind. We have heard the statement. But what the neuroscience research shows, and what as a neuroscientist I'm saying, just changing your mind is not going to be enough. You need to change your mind in such a way that it actually changes the very structure and function of the brain for you to change. When I say well, for you to change, that is to change our lives, to transform ourselves. So just changing the mind is not enough. We need to change our mind in a particular way, in such a way that the brain itself changes, because mind is intangible, brain is something tangible. We can actually see the changes in the brain as we change our mind. This whole process is called neuroplasticity. And to give you an example, I'll make it as an anecdotal way. The present Dalai Lama said, you know what, if you have to change your life, you need to be able to change your brain, he said. And how do you change your brain? He said, you have to change your mind, and the brain will change, your life changes. Scientists didn't agree with that. If something happened to the brain, mind changes. But if something happened to the mind, the brain won't change. That is how we learned earlier, decades back. Because we're comparing brain to the hardware and mind to the software.
Yeah.
If something happened to the hardware, software gets affected, right? If something happened to software, you change. These days, Microsoft is taken over. In my days, I have seen WordStar, WordPerfect. Yes, you can see I'm dating myself. So if the software changed, nothing happened to the hardware, right? I would just change the software from WordPerfect to WordStar. That was a huge change. Earlier it was WordPerfect. And then much later came Word. I've gone through all of this. And I was there before internet times. Trust me. So what you're going through now, I have gone through with internet. Getting, and then also the movie helped. What's that? check your mail. No, what is that? There was a title.
You've got me.
You got mail. Yes, thank you. Who said that? You got mail. You got mail. And then without my knowledge, I would be spending so much time on the internet because I didn't have to go to the library, take out the books, reference books, and go through, write. None of that. Click of a button, I could get. Even though I was doing my own work sometimes, or anything that interests, that was only black and white. No pictures, nothing. I would spend hours and then I'll be late. Luckily, I didn't have Akila at that time, so it did not affect my life, even though I was using for work. I've learned it the hard way. That's why it's easier for me to learn how to control this. And earlier believed everything what it said. And then when the students would come and ask questions about some of the diseases and whatnot, or whatever it is, and then we realized, don't believe all the websites. You have to go to the right website and then read and then get the answers, we would say. Learned it the hard way. That's why it makes it easier for me. And I can control. When I want it, I will use it. Even if I'm making a mistake, if I'm feeling low, if I'm on this, I know I will put a time and then have the willpower to stop. Then it is empowering, not otherwise.
But because you went through the time before the internet, now we're in the digital age and we've got the young generation who they don't have that kind of reference.
Not even younger generation, your generation. I see the parents coming to me, as you were saying. Now it is in American Psychiatric Association. This is labeled as an addiction. Addiction to social media. It has been declared officially.
But that's what I've been
Not just younger generation. It is because of the parent generation that younger generation are also going through.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea how to utilize it to our own advantage. We do it in an emotional way. Don't. Because we know how tough it is to come out of this. We put pressure on the kids not to use. Can we educate the kids? This is great. How many of us will say this? This is great. Use it to the right way, to your right advantage. Whenever I talk to the kids, this is where the kids love me. I will never ask them. The same thing happened before this time. I will never ask you to stop watching TV. At that time, TV and the games, right? I will never ask you to stop doing anything. They are all very happy. And then I start one after that and another in a logical way. And then now you decide. It's only the contents that is making us be addicted. Whatever I need, I use it to the fullest advantage, and I'm doing spending lot more hours in getting ready, preparing, learning newer things than when I was a student, getting the gold medal or a rank, or working, writing grants and writing books and writing papers. I'm spending lot more time on this and this, using it to my fullest advantage. And at the end, I have even more energy left at the end of the day. That is the yardstick, whether it's for you or for the kids. Do you get drained out at the end of the day? By doing physical work, if you get drained out, I can understand. By doing this, we get physically drained out. That's mentally.
Yeah.
And we are not physically drained out. That fatigue, that restlessness,
Correct.
that mind chatter, all because we don't realize there is nothing wrong. We are also using this instead of, we don't have friends, we cannot go to a therapist all the time. The life is such that, and not just here, even in India, anywhere I go, only people like us, through knowledge is acting as medicine. Only through knowledge can we come out of this. And using willpower. Only willpower is not enough. Knowledge about all of this plus the willpower, the two together is what is going to help us out. And just by ourselves we cannot do it many a time. times. This is where we need a community, as Lalli auntie is saying. She hears this. Adults who are homemakers get addicted, then they admit only half hour before anybody comes home, they will start cooking. Because rest of the time, it is okay if you spend in a meaningful way. We do it in a mindless way. Can we come out of that mindless way of using technology into mindful way of doing technology? This is where many of them are getting involved in service activities. Service is used as a therapy. Whatever little things that they can do. And they can, now they're so addicted to her support group meetings they cannot do without it. Now you understand. Every week she stopped 1 month, only twice a month. They didn't even come to her. Somebody next to her level. They came to her. It was with Sudha Ashok. I got all of that. You cannot stop this. And from here she does this. And 2 years back, even when she was going through so much, just like when she was here, even through all of that, this Tuesday she couldn't even attend because she was at the temple. But yet the support group meeting went on because she was able to do whatever she needed to do, even though she couldn't. She's always there. Even she's not physically present, that goes on. It has come to that stage. Because the people need that. So coming back, when they said, what does that mean? See, we know how to change our minds. By changing mind in a particular way, so as to change the very structure and function of the brain. And this whole process is called neuroplasticity. That means, what is mind? Changing our thoughts, changing our feelings, changing our emotions, changing our belief system, changing our memories, changing our perception. All of this, if we change it in a particular way, over a period of time, the brain itself changes. When the brain, even then at the level of mind, it is only temporarily changes. Only when we change our mind to such an extent that our habits change, our actions change, our experience changes, then there will be long-lasting changes in the brain. Then our life changes. Again, just I want to change understanding and saying it, feeling it won't help. Then our behavior has to change. Whether it is us or our kids. Whatever they go through. So, this is the most recent advances in neuroscience research, and it has gone into each and every field that we are trying to apply this concept of neuroplasticity in each and every field that we can think of. Something as intangible as mind. Look at this. If I look at this phone, I keep saying, you know what? I want this phone to change into an iPhone. No matter how much I tell, this won't change, right? This is something tangible. Whereas if we change our mind in a particular way, something tangible as brain, which is inside ourselves, can change. Such a mind-blowing research this has taken off. Now you can see why we traveled 6 different countries at this stage to be able to give this kind of information so that people can accept. Otherwise, it's gonna be just like parents preaching, teachers preaching. This is not preaching. This is real science with evidence-based research that is happening. Okay, this is
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-travelled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep travelling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
Simple. This less than 3-minute video, it's so powerful. So whatever I'm saying, but what I'm saying is not in the research, this is our application, interpretation of the work and application of the research that has happened on neuroplasticity, how to be able to use it in our day-to-day lives. That is the specialty of YogaKshema that both of us are involved in. We take this whether it's to manage stress or for parenting or for students to increase their focus in power and concentration, or for professionals to balance out or to harmonize personal life and professional life, or to improve our relationships, or to change our habits by rather than being quiet, how will I be able to express, and much more than that, how will they be able to accept? If they don't accept, we get hurt, so we close up even more. No point in explaining, nobody can ever understand, so we clam up even more. Or if we are more vocal, then it is changing the other way. Keep doing things, changing things until you figure out what works. But rather than figuring out what works, rather than focusing on the end result, we only focus on how to it doesn't work, and then we keep quiet. We have to be focused on the goal, and we need to be tweaking and take course corrections until we reach that goal. Any questions before I go to the next section? Even though we know all of this, it is not easy. What we need to understand is, for all of us, without any exception, whether we talk too much, whether we clam up, whether I eat too much, I sleep less, does not matter. For all of us, without exception, there is something that prevents us to be evolving. Even this, that is common for all of us. We need to understand this. This is where we have tried so many things and then we cannot. We let go, or we keep on changing. With this understanding, that's why I said how to does not matter, many things. But if even this, just one time for some people may not be enough. It has to be repeated again and again. That is why they keep coming every week. Only the concepts we keep reminding. You know why you're not able to implement? It is because of this. You know, for you, it is not because of what happened to her. It is something else for you why you're not able to. We're able to figure out and then give them the true scientific way of why they could implement, why they could not implement. And that is where we keep
Those are the tools.
Okay, should we go?
Yeah.
I think she has seen this earlier.
Yeah, she's
It's a
seen this
repetition.
before.
We can go. But it is said in a different way, and then we will see. one of the things is we're not able to evolve because we are not putting our all of our effort. We think we have, but there is a whole lot more potential that is within us. We don't know how to unleash that potential, how to tap into that potential, because we get carried away with our emotions. All of us, without any exceptions, we become emotional. We are both thinking beings, we are also feeling beings. But we are feeling beings and we think once in a while. We need to know when we need to think, how to think, what to think, when we need to fear, how to fear. Once we have this understanding, then in a very objective manner, in a mindful manner, without being colored by our emotions and feelings, we'll be able to see the reality as it is and take actions. To take actions, again, we need to remember our goal. Why did we come to this country? Why did I get married? Why do I have kids? Why do I have all of this? Until and unless we keep connecting to that, certain things won't come together. What prevents us? It's these ants. It's, as you see, you only see one type of ants in this picture, but in reality there are many different types of ants. As you can see, it's an acronym. ANT is an acronym for automatic negative thoughts, and that comes because of our negativity bias that is innate within us. Everybody, without any exception, whether somebody is a saint or a scientist, doctor or a patient, manager or a clerk, professor or a student, without any exception, each and every one of us will have this negativity bias. And there is evolutionary biological significance to this. We won't go into that. Just trust my word saying that because of this negativity bias, we are able to survive. And the same negativity bias, or the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, is what is preventing us to evolve. We need to understand this. It's what is preventing us to evolve. So we will go through this a little bit deeper and then see what it is. These negative ants, just going to say ants, automatic negative thoughts, when they go unnoticed and unchecked, they act like Velcro. It sticks to our mind. Whereas anything that is positive, so many positive things happen, neutral things happen every day that gets washed off like Teflon. You know what Teflon is, that non-stick material. And until and unless we understand this, we won't be able to change this. Oh, this is what is happening. I'm focusing only on the negative things. That awareness has to come, that self-awareness. And then with that, we need to be able to change. And then we say, I'm changing, but the circumstances are all the same, so it is hard. All of this is true. That is why you need to rope in others to be able to help you if possible. Otherwise, even with one person changing, it will take a long time. That is how it started in YogaKshema. Most of the women came with themselves. They didn't have support of many of them with their husbands or kids, but they came, and that is why that repetitive understanding and repetitive attending workshops and talks helped them. And when they started changing, and now the husbands also attend, or they're so supportive and they come and drop them to be volunteers and whatnot, it has happened in full blown way. So I'm also saying all of this through the experience, and that is why they see so much of the positivity in their lives, because they are able to implement all of this. And that is why they want to be part of this, and it happens again and again every week. They're going to But let's spend a couple more minutes and understand, because it is such an important concept. You know, these ants, when they go unnoticed, because we're not aware, we will always say, oh, I felt so negative or so angry because of this person, because of this circumstance. Otherwise, I was not like this. Because of COVID. Before COVID, it was not like this. We'll always have umpteen reasons to do this. So, that means it is going unnoticed and unchanged. When that happens, what happens to our mind? Our mind goes back and forth like between past and future, like a pendulum. And the mind gets caught in the past and looks at the past with regret, and looks at the future with pessimism and full of anxiety. And whatever is happening in the present moment, it is not enough for the mind, never satisfied. If you think about it, 15 years back, 20 years back, before we came here, we were thinking of, we have everything, whatever we thought and much more, but we still are not satisfied with our lives. That is because, again, it's not that only some people have this negativity and not others. Absolutely not. As I said, each and every person will go through. Others will be aware of this, but not ourselves. That self-awareness, we need to be aware. That self-awareness is the most important human quality. This human quality of self-awareness distinguishes us as humans from the rest of the animals. Animals have very rudimentary awareness about themselves, and especially about their thoughts, feelings and actions. And we are able to be aware of our own thoughts, our own feelings. We can question our own thoughts. We can question our feelings or our actions or our non-actions and be able to change. We need to be able to use these human qualities to be able to evolve. Because many a times we're stuck with the instinct qualities. And once we start using these human qualities, that's when we will be able to come out of that instinct more, to reflective more. Otherwise, we also develop, this is also nothing right or wrong, just with observation. We develop ways and means to just adjust to this by being, by developing a sense of humor. But we need to be evolving, not just adjusting. Let us see what happens when we have too many of these ants. We will give all different reasons why we cannot do something. And we are not proactive. And the result, this is at the thought level, the result of the ants at the action level is procrastination. We are talking about procrastination there. So the result of the thoughts, negative thoughts, is procrastination. Ants in action is procrastination, which is non-action.
So what is the meaning of
Procrastination,
please? Yeah.
Delaying things.
Yeah,
Delaying.
putting off things
Not
to the future. Tomorrow, I cannot do it this now. I do it tomorrow.
Imagine
I
doing
do
the
it
next day
tomorrow.
and you're holding it back.
That's me.
Huh? What did she say?
That's me.
Yeah, all of us.
All of us. Yeah, you're not alone. Don't worry. Don't feel bad. We're all guilty.
This is the beauty of it. When they come for scientific talks, nobody can feel bad. When you go to
I'm
only
full of procrastination.
philosophical speeches,
Go for it.
when you go to philosophical speeches, pravachans, you will feel bad because it is taken from a moral perspective, and then we feel so. This science, it's common for everybody, not you. And knowingly, we will still do this. But knowingly, when we do it, we will be able to come out of it. Now, without understanding, without knowing, we are that automatic mode. Without knowing, it happens. I procrastinate knowingly. I know there are so many manuscripts I'm working on. Today I'm going to give myself a break. I'm going to work on this from tomorrow. That is procrastination, right? But when I give myself permission, but I have to follow it up later on, next day, then it is empowering. Same action, only the perception has to change. Remember the 3 stone cutters? I'm not going to ask you to do anything more up here if you change. Procrastinate, but knowingly come back and give yourself that time. For one day I'm not going to do this, but next day you have to come back and do it. Then it is empowering.
Auntie, quick time check. So just wanted to check
How long?
how long.
Yeah, let's see. In less than 5 minutes I'm going to come to the tools.
Okay.
Tools is the last one.
Okay.
Tools depends on how much time you have to spend. I can spend less than 10 minutes and be done. It can be more, it all depends on you.
How much?
I need to go at 3. I have to pick up girls from somewhere.
Oh, okay. So auntie can, the short and sweet version.
Yeah, whatever, it's up to you guys.
Yes.
Even if it is 2 people, I can do. It's not me. Not everybody has to be here.
I would like to go through tools.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so auntie, maybe a
Yeah.
condensed version first and then we'll stay
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't mind.
Sorry, it's just the girls are playing
It
hockey. I have
happens.
to pick them up.
I know it happens.
I'd like to see the full sweet turn.
Yeah.
So, the brain is, what happens, the most important part is this. When we go back and forth between past and future, and whatever is happening in the present moment is not enough, we need to train ourselves to be in the present moment. These ants, automatic negative thoughts, escape us to be in the present moment. We are concerned about the future, our kids, our work, our mortgage, or the next luxury car that we're going to buy, or the next luxury vacation we want to take, or the cruise that we want to take as an entire family. We're always thinking about the future and worried about the past. I'm not saying in terms of learning from the past and planning for the future. That has to happen. But I make a bold statement saying this. There is nothing like past and there is no future. Past and future are at a mental level. Because even when we are learning from the past, we are learning at the mental level. We are planning for the future, we are planning at the thought level. But the action level, at the doing level, when it was happening, it was that time. When yesterday was happening, what was yesterday?
Present.
Yesterday was today, when it was happening, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow hasn't happened. When tomorrow is going to happen, what will be tomorrow? What will be tomorrow? This is
Today.
we
Today.
got
Today.
language.
Today.
Don't think about the grammar. When tomorrow is going to happen, tomorrow will be
Become today.
tomorrow, which is tomorrow will be today.
Oh.
When it is happening, it will be today. Right? Yesterday when it was happening, yesterday was today.
Correct.
There is nothing like what. Get the logic. So when we focus on our actions, remember what we talked about neuroplasticity, just changing mind will not help. We need to change our actions. We need to change our behavior. We need to change. All of that is at the action level. Then only life changes. Not if we just change our thoughts and feelings. So the action level, we only have the present moment. Everything else, past and future, is at the mental level. When we focus on our actions, actions can only happen in the present moment and nothing else. Not even today. This moment. It's very important. If you have doubts we need to clarify.
How you would differentiate the saying, your today's actions reflect tomorrow?
Absolutely, that is why we need to take care of our not only actions, even our thoughts will have an effect on tomorrow. That means if we need to change the future, we need to act in the present moment, not tomorrow. Whatever we are thinking, whatever we are doing in the present moment has an effect on the future. When we think about the future, we plan for the future, but what is happening today, what actions we are taking will reflect our future. In other words, if we want to change our future, it's not in the future we can change, we can only change in the present moment. In other words, especially in our Indian culture, it says destiny is written on our forehead. Right? What's your mother tongue? Hindi?
Marathi.
Marathi. Okay. In Kannada, they say destiny. In Kannada, it's called Hane Baraha. But Hane means this forehead. Baraha is written.
Uh-huh.
Destiny is written on the forehead. We cannot change. But what the neuroscience research, and not just the neuroscience research, this is what is said in the Upanishads. Whatever said in the Upanishads in a easier manner is said in the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever is said in the Upanishads, whatever is said in the Bhagavad Gita is said even in a much easier manner in the Bhagavatam. The same message. Even in our Upanishad it says, you can change your destiny.
What did you say at the start of that? You said something about
Yeah.
Hane Baraha.
No,
Hane means
it's
Your
your
destiny is
expression.
written on your
Baraha is written. Destiny in our Indian custom, we say it's written on our forehead. We cannot
Yeah.
change.
So are you saying that actually
is possible
is
to
within our
change,
power to
yeah.
change our
The
destiny,
destiny.
even if this
And in a Upanishad as well, it's written that it can be changed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So that the scriptures have said what science is saying now.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah.
And we are giving proof, of course, the way the Westerners, they won't say it is done in Upanishad. This was my role to understand the new research that is happening from an Upanishad angle and understand Upanishad from a scientific angle. That is why I have understood and come to know. And even what we have is in the present moment. Even I even have the reference, and I've given talks on that. It's called Ihaiva. Only here, only now can you be free. Ihaiva. Means right here.
Is there be just my mind wander? You know the movie Kung Fu Panda. I was
Yeah.
just wondering.
Yeah, he
It's
said.
he said
Absolutely.
past is past, future is to come, present is the present habit.
Exactly, same thing.
Is in Kung Fu Panda there is a
Yes.
say.
No, not just Kung Fu Panda.
Is that a tortoise?
All the
Yeah, the
Yes.
panda movie. Yeah, Tortoise was saying.
all our
That was quite
fairy tales
profound.
that we have read, and most of these movies are pregnant with such wisdom. But many a times we only look at it in a superficial way because we can only understand. Even something as Hansel and Gretel and Alice in Wonderland, such philosophical message.
Yeah.
I'm relearning all of this, and I use many of those. Absolutely. I even show bits and pieces of cartoons and clipped videos of those to bring. When I do the Upanishads, I do that. Not if I do the science.
So that just going back to the point that I made before about they say the destiny is written basically. Is that like a cultural kind of mindset, a cultural thing, as opposed to something that's more scientific or written in religious scriptures?
No, that's what we're saying. It's what Lali Auntie said. Now we are giving evidence
Yeah.
for all
Yes.
of that. We're showing evidence how there is a talk that I gave. You can change your destiny at any age. They've given the talk. You can change your brain at any age. You can change your destiny. This was done for students in South Africa. You can change your destiny and you can change your brain at any age. Not when you're young, at any age you can change your brain. If you change your brain, you change your life. Changing life is changing destiny. And I won't go into this, I'll just mention and then move on. This is what is showing in epigenetic research. Forget about destiny, even the genes. We say, oh, I can't help it, it's in my genes. It comes from my grandparents. Even the genetic expression can change. They're saying it from a scientific epigenetic research. So the ants prevent us to be in the present moment. In other words, the brain is hardwired. These ants are hardwired in our brain, right? The brain is hardwired to escape being in the present moment. And we need to rewire our brains and train ourselves to be in the present moment. And how to be in the present moment we will see. Right? So what happens, the effect of ants, we'll just quickly go through before we go to the tools. When we have too many of these ants and they go unnoticed and unchecked, they prevent us to tap into the potential that we already have to the fullest extent. We won't be able to unleash that potential that we have. And, oh God, she just left. She said, I focus on the little things that is not done, 20% or 2%. It makes you focus on the obstacles or barriers rather than on the goal. Or things that we have not done rather than things that we have done. And also we cannot just be false positive, only focusing on things we have done and neglect what we have not done. That is also not the solution. And it comes in the way of our deep and sustained attention to anything that we are doing, whether for adults or for children as they study. Which means one of the ways I'm saying it in a cautious way, when we talk about ADD, ADHD, it's just that we need to train our brain. These ants are coming from a lower center of the brain, whereas which is from the manas, and the buddhi comes from the higher center. If the lower center is highly active, we are not able to focus. It's the higher center that helps us focus and concentrate. We need to train the higher center of the brain to be able to focus more. And it comes in the way of nurturing relationships and to have meaningful relationships. This we don't even realize. It's not being selfish, but self-centered or self-wallowing. When we have too much negativity, it leads us to self-wallowing, only thinking about ourselves all the time. And it prevents us to be kind, to be understanding, to be grateful, and to be compassionate, understand others. Especially this is where service becomes a tool to overcome this. And of course, many a times we have to do it in the proper way too. If we do service, our ego also gets bigger. That also shouldn't happen. If we do it in a proper way to help ourselves, then it won't boost our ego. And it makes us feel that being stressed out is our own fault and we get into self-blaming. None of this should happen. But it will happen. Trust me. But remember this, go through the notes and then try to overcome. That's the goal. Okay. We have covered most of it now. We're getting into the tools, but if you have any questions until now, we can take up before me the tools.
No, tools, I think. Yes,
We
Karen.
can go into the tools, okay. Remember, we just talked about eliciting relaxation response, but we didn't say what it is, right? The work that was done by Herbert Benson, at that time it was called meditation, not even mindfulness. He did so much work on meditation, and he said when you meditate, it is eliciting relaxation response. He showed clearly, doing research, collecting data. In fact, I can even say he renamed meditation to relaxation response. So, how do we elicit that relaxation response, and the other rewiring tools of the brain is what we're going to be looking into right now. These are there are plenty of tools. I'll just introduce you to few tools. Physical activity, physical exercise, mind-body interventions. It could be mindfulness, it could be yoga, it could be Tai Chi. That's why we have to know how the yoga helps, and then we will be able to, even if we stop in the middle, we will be able to get into that. And it's not just the physical yoga, and a lot more goes into it.
And in terms of physical exercise, right, are there, say, certain physical exercises that would accelerate the rewiring more than others? I mean, like walking, would it be more effective than, let's say, I don't know, weight training, or vice versa? Is there any?
Yeah, we need to, we call this cross training. It's better to have everything if you're looking at it from that perspective, from a Western perspective. And if you just look at it from a traditional way, Indian traditional way, doing yoga is enough, they will say. And then, or just walking, sometimes even yoga is not going to be enough, some walking, but some kind, just because somebody is not overweight, many times they won't even get into the physical activity, right? That's why we're going to know why we need physical activity. If it is for weight reduction, we need to follow some other things. If it is to elicit relaxation response, it is something else. So that we need to be, I can only give in a broad manner because this is for everybody, and then for specific people, for specific reasons, we need to choose different. But we'll see why physical exercise is important, then you will see. They say, because all of our work, all of us,
12 hours I can sit in the chair.
yes.
Me too.
The effect of sitting in the chair is this, not being able to sit. Posture.
Yes.
True.
And the posture, and we don't realize what is happening at the cardiovascular level. That is why it says sitting is the new smoking. It has similar effects. And the positive side of this is when there is so much research that has happened in such a way that we don't even have to go to the research papers. A lot of it I go to research papers and disseminate the information and interpret in a way to implement. There are books that have been written. That means it has passed that article publication stage, and that is so popular. And so much work has been done by a pediatrician in US. They took one of the schools as an example, and then the physical instructor looked into the physical activity of the kids. And even on the day of exam, and the kids, when they were physically active before going to the exam, their memory power, concentration all increased. This was some remote school, Midwest. It was unheard of But after this experiment suddenly came to the radar screen because suddenly the SAT scores, I don't know what the equivalent of the comparative scores here in US, the SAT scores of the school itself, not just for few students, went up so high and it got recognition. And then they realized it's because the physical instructor along with believed in this. He read somewhere the neuroscience research, and in that neuroscience research they said physical activity acts like miracle grow. You have the same brand here, right? The fertilizer. Physical activity acts like fertilizer for the brain. Yes, and even new neurons can grow, and there is increased concentration and memory power because of physical exercise. As a physical instructor, he read this and he put this into practice in his school, and all of a sudden everybody's attention was on this. And then a pediatrician came and he has written a book on this. So we have so much of evidence for this. It is not just for weight, it is also for our mental health. And not only that, not that miracle grow, what he calls as the name for that chemical is BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor. And we already know the other chemicals that are released, the happy chemicals, endorphins are released while you exercise, called happy chemicals, serotonin. But along with that, even BDNF is known to release. That helps, not just physically, but also mentally.
So, just again, my ignorance a little bit, Auntie. So, does increase in endorphins and serotonin mean that cortisol and adrenaline will automatically reduce?
Naturally.
Okay.
Because if one goes down, both of them cannot be up at the same time. The only way we can be happy and be crying is what we call it as Ananda Bhashpa, that is still in a positive mode. Otherwise, you cannot be happy, you cannot be crying too, right? It cannot happen. It's the same way. When those positive chemicals, happy chemicals are released naturally, the other chemicals will be reduced. Sometimes it is tricky, that's why I don't specifically mention these names. For example, serotonin has subtypes of this chemical. Certain of the subtype will increase, certain others will decrease. So we have to be careful about that. That's why I don't see it in a general way. But yes, basically the chemicals that will boost our well-being will increase, and the chemicals that will decrease our mental well-being will be reduced.
I can just share that when I've had an experience where I don't know, I've come away from a really toxic argument or just which really affected me, which was regular, leading to chronic stress, let's say, knowing what my reactions would likely to be, therefore, in front of my family that I live with in the house as a result of that happening, to kind of combat that, to make sure it doesn't happen, that I don't come out with those negative behaviours, my immediate response was, don't say nothing, stay calm. But the way you release the negative, what do you call it, the chemicals in your that's built up, go out for a run. And so anytime I got super stressed, do something positive for your body, for your mind, and I would sometimes overexert the run, let's say, but coming back, you've cleared all of that, you've put all the good stuff back in you, and you can reflect and think a lot better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Shraddha, going back to you, two separate sports activities, like dancing would give me a completely different feeling to playing badminton.
True.
Yeah. So it's just trying
What works for
what
you?
works for you.
For each person.
Yeah.
For each person.
Yeah.
That's why we don't go into details. That you figure out
Yeah, you figure it
yourself.
out. Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. At times we should not talk. When I say communicate, not all the time. Many a times not talking at certain times is the best way. We have to figure out when it is for each person. It is different. But ultimately, if we are thinking about the whole family, there has to be communication. Because the only time not talking works is, as Nirmala was saying, Nirmala, right? Her parents' generation, they would keep quiet, they would keep mum, but they would be doing so much sadhana not to get affected. This is the way they would accept the kids and grandkids. At this day and age, we are not able to accept unconditionally as the other generation. That is why the communication is important. Only if you are able to do it yourself, just because we are quiet does not mean it is helping with others. We can see most of the people, I have not come across anybody by one person keeping quiet, the whole family is getting better. When we look at the entire family, there has to be communication in this day and age. In this day and age. Because through the experience I'm talking about.
Or otherwise it happens again.
Happens again, but it's about effective communication and knowing how to communicate.
Absolutely.
It's a
NVC.
long road though, I must tell you.
That
It's
NVC,
not, it's
right?
not easy.
We call it NVC, non-violent communication. We shouldn't be violent to ourselves, not feeling good about ourselves. We are violent about ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to love ourselves. We need to be compassionate to ourselves. We need to be kind even when we lose our cool. We need to be kind even when you argue. But we also have to understand even the other person is also like that. And that is where, until and unless, see, putting in a different way, it might feel esoteric, but it is not. Again, I'm saying through experience. See, earlier times with our grandparents' generation, it was a given. No matter what, as you get older, the only thing you did was to love the kids, accept the family, and this is all I can do. And also, that dependency was there. It is actually interdependency, and they knew they would not be able to go elsewhere. Even there's in some families it happened. Instead of one son, another son, all of that. But usually that interdependence was there, and this is the norm. They accepted the elderly, especially whether ladies or men for that matter. These days you have so many choices. You can still be together and be alone, feel alone, or lonely, I should say, not alone. You can feel lonely amongst being in a group. Being in the family with everybody, you can feel lonely. And there are other choices, taking care just about ourselves. Just so we keep going, we keep moving, and we keep the ship afloat. Then it's only, of course, it's very important, but after that, there is a next stage. When we have mastered this, the next stage is to include the rest of the family, and whatever changes that we can make to be able to make keeping the family in mind. And this is where again it hurts, and especially for women it is tough. But as women, we are the ones who can do this.
Unfortunately or fortunately.
Most of the times, I would say it is fortunately, because as it's only our ego that comes in the way, nothing else. Because as long as we are taking care, it's okay. Everything is happening, whether I change or not, whether I say it or not, things will go the same way. We give these reasons and then move on. But we should say fortunately, because we have the ability to be able to change ourselves, and with our way of life, hopefully it will reflect on others, if not immediately, much later.
I think where it's coming from is, it should be out of choice, not out of necessity. So, even as a woman, if I want to do it, I will do it, right? But it shouldn't be forced on a woman just because she's a woman.
Absolutely. No, that is where when I say fortunate, because as women, it should be a necessity for us. It should be a necessity for us to evolve, not to adjust.
Okay, fair enough.
If we choose to evolve, then none of this will come into picture. That evolving has to be there is no right or wrong.
Correct.
Remember, at times we survive, at times we want to evolve, but that if evolution has to be a necessity, then only it will happen. Because in humans, evolution is by choice, it won't happen by itself. Unlike the animals evolved, they didn't have to do anything. Oh, generation after generation. How long it took? Millions of years. Can we afford that kind of time frame? No. Otherwise, we're going to be born again and again and again to be able to, given all opportunities and chances to evolve. If we need to evolve in this generation, if this is only generation, not generation, this lifetime, in one lifetime, then we need to choose to evolve. That becomes even more than a necessity. That has to be very strong. Then we can do it. Otherwise, it's okay. We can manage. With all of this, we will manage. We won't be able to evolve right away. We won't be able to evolve every time. That's why I say this evolution of ours, whether through stress or through relationships, or through taking care of this body, or through taking care of this mind, or to be utilizing the potential to the fullest extent, whichever angle that you take, it's on a moment-to-moment basis. It's not a stage to reach. At times we can, at times we cannot. But let us be kind to ourselves, let us be compassionate to ourselves, let us be understanding to ourselves. Only if we are loving, understanding and kind and compassionate can we be loving and understanding and kind and compassionate to others. Remember that give me game. We can only give what we have. We can only be kind and compassionate to others if we are that to ourselves. Mindfulness is another tool, right? What does this represent? To put it in a very simple way, mindfulness is about only three things. It's about the present moment, we know. And we need to be highly focused, paying attention. Very important to be paying attention or highly focused in a particular way. What particular way? By being non-judgmental. This is all mindfulness is all about. Can we keep coming back to the present moment? Yes, the mind goes away, either in the past or in the future. Be aware. That awareness is important, self-awareness. Be aware and bring the mind back to the present moment. How do we do that? The simplest tool is through, earlier we used to call it meditation. Now we use a scientific term saying mindful breathing. Why? Again, everything goes back to why. Why breathing? Breath is the bridge between body and mind. When the mind goes away, outside, it goes away. We need to bring that mind to the level of the body. How? By focusing on the breath. Now, if you understand this and do the relaxation response, then tell me, if you didn't get the right results, then you're not breathing properly, because there is the anatomy. Then we will go even deeper. This is what might happen in the support group meetings. We'll go into the anatomy saying that why then you're not breathing as deep or you're not breathing enough. You have to breathe in such a way that there has to be a pressure gradient in the lungs and in the external cavity, so as to certain of the ganglia or certain of the nerves need to be activated, the parasympathetic nerves. Otherwise you are doing enough but not enough to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, because if the sympathetic nervous system is still activated, that will not cause the relaxation response. We need to activate the parasympathetic response to such a way that it elicits the relaxation response. See, that is the beauty of science, Sarika. If we are not getting the right results, it is nothing to do with science. There is something we are not doing it right.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to
Exactly.
find out.
That just like, I'll give you an example. one of my sisters, this is long time back, maybe 30 years back, when my nieces were still young. She did not believe in taking too much medicine and whatnot, and the kids were teenagers, and she was still giving the baby doses for pain or for bringing down the fever. It won't work. It has to be the right dosage. And then she's saying, giving this Tylenol for 2 days, and it's not happening. The fever is not coming down. Then when I asked the dosage, I found out for the, it still might be a kid, but if the weight is in the adult range, by giving pediatric dosage will not help, right? Once we understood the reason, increase the dosage, and it happened. And it's not just with the kids. This is what happens in adults in India, because a lot of Indians don't believe in taking medicine, whether it is painkiller or any other medicine. Even for example, the antibiotics they will take for 3 days and they will stop. If the whole course is for 5 days, they will stop after 3 days. Until and unless the painkiller also is taken the right dosage. 3 painkillers a day, it is too much. This will cause these side effects. I will take one and enough. One it helped, and then enough. It comes back. You need to break that inflammatory cycle, the pain cycle. Then it needs a certain dosage. What you're going through is the similar way. Is what I explained to you in a roundabout way, so that you will be able to get it through other stuff also. So all we need to do is to keep rewiring our brain to be in the present moment. And how do we in the present moment? In a mindful way, without judging ourselves, without judging others, accepting the reality as it is, and not saying it's my karma, why did I get caught up in this cycle? Accept, and this is the opportunity that I have been given to evolve, and I can build resilience only through challenges. All of this need to come in, and then and that is why we go through this. And that is why even the kids go through this, because they're so focused when they're playing games. When we are looking at this, we are so focused, we don't see that. That is the positive effect of this. But the contents is what makes us feel guilty, whether it's with the kids or us. The reason kids play so much of the games is they're so highly focused when they're playing games. When they're seeing the 3-minute videos.
Yeah. I mean, I see Viggy on his playing on his Xbox, auntie. He is focused, but it triggers an anger response in him. He gets very angry if he's not winning as he should. He gets very angry, frustrated.
Frustration, not angry.
No, it starts as frustration,
Later,
and then it becomes anger, and then
frustration within themselves, angry at others or at the
and then there's
circumstance.
damage, damage that happens,
They
right?
need
So
to understand the cycle. If we get angry with the results that we want, with the project that we are doing, that's the right type of anger. Even stress, there is something called eustress. Eu means good. If whatever we are going through with relationships, with traffic, with work, if it is the right amount of stress, it actually helps us.
okay.
That is where I give an example of, you play instruments, the guitar or the veena or the tanpura. If the wire is not taut, it won't produce a sound at all. If it is too taut, it breaks. That is what happens. That we understand. But it has to be right amount of stress, otherwise the sound will not be produced. It won't become music. That if it is the right amount of frustration, right amount of anxiety will lead to better results.
But when I go to intervene at that point in time, auntie, when he's in that mode,
We can.
if I intervene, it actually makes it worse.
explosion.
Yes.
Yes or no?
So it's best to just leave them.
Right, but not at that time. This is what they need to understand, and they have to ask us how to intervene, what to say, what not to say, not us. This is what we need to tell them when they are in the right mood, when they are listening. That before that, we need to develop that rapport. with the
Correct. Yeah.
child. Once you do that, tell me how can I help you? They will give you trust
Solutions.
me, yeah, solutions. How they can help.
Mm.
Long time back, I used to give solution for my daughter or for my husband. If I lose my cool, do this. This will help me. For one thing for husband, one thing for daughter, one thing for friend. That much of both awareness and thinking about ourselves, how to come out of all of this and be happy, that why should be strong within us. And if we tell ours, we don't have to tell them. We don't work on ourselves. We start working on them, it won't work.
That's
If we tell them, when I lose my cool, you do this, it will help me. When I lose my cool, Naditi, do this for me. And they will get into that boat.
And they'll also start
Eventually, it
doing
won't
this.
happen right away. That's why it takes time to build that relationship. Yeah, sir.
No, I agree.
No, you said something. I was finishing up that sentence. I missed.
No, I agree.
It will take time. Once you build the report, things happen like that. Especially kids, they are very they're very astute. They watch us and they know what is wrong and how we should be. But we don't listen to them, right? Of course, when they say it, they don't know how to, and they don't even say that. But if we ask them, I'm trying myself, I'm not able to, can you help me? And that is also when they will also know how to ask for help from others. This is what I have learned in this country.
Auntie, time check again.
Yeah. We are in the second tour. You have 2 more tours. It all depends how
10 minutes.
quickly you want to
10,
go.
15 minutes. Is that okay?
How quickly you want to do the tours, because you're interested. I'm going deeper.
I can go after one. If anybody wants to go ahead, carry on. I'm fine. That's fine.
Okay. Well, let's quickly do
Quickly,
that.
Auntie.
Complete and
15,
then,
10
whoever-
minutes or so.
Yeah. This is the.
Sorry, can we go back the one before, please? Yeah, I'll just quickly get the picture. Yeah, thank you.
We always have different things we want to do, but I have to do this. That divide has to drop. Whatever has to be done, we have to do it. That Nike commercial, just do it mindfully. That is again being mindful. There are different meditation techniques. If you're interested, you can check with Sharda.
Yeah.
We have, I think, 4 different guided meditation techniques that we have. She'll be able to share the links with you. This is very important. Developing an attitude of gratitude. What new science research shows? The conventional wisdom said if we are happy, if we are religious, we are going to be grateful. The new science research says if you are grateful, you're going to be happier. So, writing 3 things that we are grateful, keep a separate book, a journal, sit in the same place, same time every day, and write 3 things you are grateful for every day, and then see how it changes your life. Because rather than focusing on what we are grateful for, we focus on what is not happening in our life. Being grateful helps us to focus on what is happening good in our life. So develop an attitude of gratitude. Altruism. It's a great sentence. The root of happiness is in altruism. The wish to be of service to others. Extremely important. As I said, this has been shown in psychology and scientifically also. this is not to build our ego when we go volunteering. This is the difference between volunteering and service. When we do the service, we do this for ourselves. By the way, somebody else helps. Volunteering, I have resources, I have money, I have time, so I want to go help others. Come out of that and say, I want to do this to help myself. And if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So look at altruism in a different way altogether. So we did this. Usually I do all the interaction of the games that we played later, but especially the give me, that we have done that, so we don't need to go through this. That ultimately the message of that game is we cannot give what we don't have, right? And so
Or we can only give what we have.
yes, both.
Absolutely.
Both are true. So I'm going to just conclude. The next one. Can only give away to others what we have inside ourselves. And let us lead a life with gratitude and altruism. We can start that by being magnanimous with our gestures and words. We are very much magnanimous, signing the check and donating. Lot more than that, we need to be kind and compassionate. Start off being magnanimous with our words and feelings. Perfect timing. So, how do we evolve through stress? How do we become a newer person rather than just managing stress, right? Look at being whatever you're doing with your own career as a way to evolve. Just like those 3 stone cutters. We can be in whichever career, you can be that 3rd stone cutter without doing any extra work, just by changing our perception.
This one, Auntie, one of the best best advice I've ever received in my life was from my old manager. He said, you have to learn to accept the fact that you're not going to be in control of everything. You have to be comfortable with the loss of control. Not only that, you choose what you want to do. You choose the things that are important to you in your place of work. You choose what you want to be as a leader. And having that clarity of thought actually helps you and helps make you a better.
At work
better
it
leader.
helps, but that won't work at home.
That's
We cannot choose just ourselves,
yeah.
This is where that, of course, the first part will work everywhere, every time, all the time.
Mm.
There are things that are not under control, but how you choose to become a leader, that works at work, but at home
it's
until
different.
and unless we include everybody else's well-being, it's not one person leading. We need to evolve as a family. Otherwise, it's interconnectedness. Even one person, if they're sick physically, how it affects us.
Correct. Mm.
Realize your potential and you unleash that potential and utilize that potential to the fullest extent possible. And figure out the meaning and purpose of life. Again, it looks like a philosophical way, but I'm talking from a scientific perspective, from positive psychology perspective. And then we saw how from reacting to responding to reflecting rather than being in the instinct mode, right? So I told you, I ask you that again, this slide. What are the 3 things that you took? Each one, you can have different, same, it doesn't matter. What are the 3 things for you which you think can help you evolve?
I think practice my breathing.
Okay?
Breathing was the one I took away.
Yeah,
That's a
utilize
tool.
that small
Reflection.
The gap
window between the reaction
yeah,
and
yes.
that's the
Okay. And 3 things.
For me, the gratitude journal.
Okay?
There are quite a few, but
Maybe, yeah. But go back and reflect on
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
because you're able to give one and then think,
Mm.
go back to your notes, and if you can get these three, each one it is for you. For me, I'll tell you what it is for me. I'll show you. But reflect on this and hold on to this, and that is what will help you to implement. You're again focusing on the tools.
and the practice.
Yeah, and that way to practice. Try to focus not just on the tool, but at the concept
why.
level. Yeah. For me, I have so much potential. If I have not done something, then I need to go deeper into utilizing my potential. I have to figure out the purpose of life. That is where it has to become a necessity that I have to evolve. I need to evolve. Until and unless that becomes the purpose, I won't be able to. This is mine. And each one you can figure out and what is the meaning of this life. The meaning of life is what we give meaning to, and it changes from stage to change. It might, even the purpose might change, but whether we know it or not, everybody's human beings, every human being's purpose of life is to be evolving, and when you look at it from a scientific perspective, whether we know it or not. So for me, these things, three things, under this we can get into whatever different, how. Importantly, as you were saying, implementation, convert that knowledge into action. So finally, this is the last slide. Realize your potential, figuring out the meaning and purpose of life, and that you have to do it on a moment to moment to moment basis. It's not that I have learned to manage stress, I have learned to evolve through stress. It's on a moment to moment basis. So everything begins from a single thought. But it cannot just remain at the thought level. It has to end with action. And we cannot plan it for some future. It has to happen now.
Thanks to you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was really nice one.
Yeah. Thank you, Auntie. Lot to take in, Auntie, and even though there were, even though we've been through the emotional intelligence session, there was so much more that we took away from this session as well. Especially, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to figure out. And so, yeah, I thought I've learned, I'm going on the journey, but I realized, there's still so much more to do, so much more to go.
Yeah, even at the intellectual understanding level itself, it keeps going deeper and deeper. That's why that repetition is needed. That's why our role of running the support group meetings every day.
Reinforced
Because we have made it really simple and easy, but it's even to get it at an intellectual level before implementation, it is not that, because it's a lot. If I did not give you all this, you won't be convinced. Where you are at your intellectual level, you won't be convinced.
Yeah, it's the so what, right?
Yeah, but I think the value I gained from this session and it being different to others is the connection back to neuroscience. So whilst we hear the words around, be it neuroplasticity, if you can say it properly, and the other things that they talk about, the stress hormones and the chemicals and all those sorts of things, if you actually articulate it in a way that almost simplifies the actual concept behind the science, that relates it back to the normal layperson, then it's that much more powerful, and then people will believe in it more, and then it becomes your belief system, and then you act on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
You hit the nail on the head.
And the other thing I love about this is it's science as well as some of the spiritual stuff that's connected, and you're showing the connection between that. And if you are a bit of both as a person, that works for you. Yeah.
That's true.
So thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank
Just a thank you is not
But
actually
just
enough.
But it's
Yeah.
not.
It doesn't justify
I
it.
thought no signals at the stop.
I'll
Yeah, it doesn't
Pause
justify
and take
how long
No,
you've taken.
yes.
We just tell them about the support group meeting.